Shay and the Good People. I am Shay of the Good People. I am really struggling with signing up for New York health insurance today. What I'm not struggling with is my love for my guest, Ines Nassara, who's in the studio today.
Yay.
One of my favorite people in the world. I'm so happy that we got to sit down. You were on the second show of Shay and the Good People. Also,
Yes.
I guess I'll say that if you haven't listened to the podcast before, welcome. Shay and the Good People is a podcast sister pairing to the Shay and the Good People live show that I do monthly at Pete's Candy Store. It's a singer-songwriter showcase. I host, I'll do original music, and we have 3 different singer-songwriters each show. It used to be 2, but I added 3 because people kept dropping, and then it was just me and another person. But what we do there, this is kind of like I feel like the music show is the like ribeye steak dinner, and then this is the red wine pairing to it. This is like the like big, I haven't drank in 3 years, so I'm like, what is wine called? I was like, it's a big house
Robust.
red. Yeah. Tannins. I remember that word, but I can't spell it. So I have the guests who have been on the show into the studio, and we'll talk about whatever. You'll also hear throughout the show, I'll cut in pieces of their clips of our guests' live performance on Shay and the Good People. And you can check the show notes for links to their music online. If you like them, go follow them. And that's pretty much everything you need to know. And if you listen to the podcast, thank you so much. And on to my guest, please welcome to the studio, Ines Nassara.
You know,
Poop.
Okay. I've been pissing out of my asshole.
Oh my God.
but
I'm so happy that you clogged it up and made it. You spackled it.
spackled with Imodium.
Just like crushed Immortal and Pestle. Made a paste.
Made a cream.
And just
Tape just in case.
tape. Yeah, like around the waist.
Right.
Mhm.
So I look very snatched.
Well, yeah.
I'm just covering it up with a bulky sweater.
Yeah, bubbles.
Yeah. I just want to say that I love that we can be stupid like this, but also seriously, I know this interview is like about me, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Don't you dare. Don't you dare
I'm
talk
sorry.
about me.
I'm gonna
Don't you-
really quick, like 15 seconds. You just work your ass off and you really inspire me. And amidst all the bullshit that happens in life, you're like, I'm gonna do something about it. I'm gonna make a podcast about it. I'm gonna have a singer-songwriter showcase about it. Like, you just kill it. And I'm just like in my bed of depression, scrolling, admiring you. And I'm just so glad you asked me to be here.
Thank you. I mean, you were my number one pick for. I wanted you on the first Shay and the Good People, but you had a gig that night.
Right.
And so I had Livy and Lara Galindo, and then on the second Shay and the Good People, which was April 2022.
Whoa.
Yeah, almost 2 years ago. You and Rose Stoller were
Yeah.
on the same show. Yeah. And star. But like, you're also a star too. And I appreciate that. I do receive. I'm getting better at receiving or trying to receive compliments. But I suffer with the same thing, which I'm sure anyone who's listening, even if you're not an artist, but if you are a singer, actor, comedian in New York City, and you have an Instagram and you have a TikTok, it will never feel like enough. You will never feel like you're doing enough. Ever. I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I mean, there has been who cares? But like, to me, I'm the only one who cares about it. There's going to be a significant gap between like the last pods that came out and, but I don't have a, team or anything. I mean,
Right.
Irving Goddori, who I love, thank you so much. He's the best. He edits these podcasts, but it's up to me to like get the time codes to him, and I'm cutting all the social media, and I'm doing the newsletter, and I'm booking the interviews. And so at some point I do dream of thank you. And I'm somewhat glad that it looks like I'm doing a lot, but it feels like I can't get on top of it. And I haven't even scratched the surface of what I want to do. But I also feel like I haven't seen Renaissance yet, but
Squirrel.
I want to go by myself.
I did.
You did?
I went by myself.
That's so fucking
a few days ago. I was in Maryland.
Yeah.
And I went to Rockville Town Center or whatever. And
Duclaw.
Honey.
Wait, Gordon Biersch.
Gordon Biersch
is right there.
Gosh. Wow, and like the ice skating ring.
Yes.
I don't know how to ice skate.
No.
All my friends went without me.
You're like, yeah, I'll take the pictures.
Yeah,
Yay!
I'll cheer. But I went alone and I cried throughout the whole entire thing. It's so beautiful. I mean, to see all the dimensions of Beyonce and also to see like her trying to get all this stuff done and she's leading all of it. Film, lighting,
yes,
like everything has to be okayed by her. And it's not just the okay, like she has the ideas that she wants to manifest with her collaborators, obviously, but to see her team members, like, you know, some staff maybe in the arena, like gaslight her or like question her. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah.
I could buy all of you.
But yes, 100%. Like, excuse me, we'll get someone in tomorrow.
Right.
Shayna and Ines are not doing anything. Get them,
not a thing, honey.
Get them in the arena. But I heard a clip of her saying she's in a race against time.
Right.
And she doesn't even feel like, somebody posted on Instagram, like she doesn't feel like she has enough time to do the things that she wants to do or has enough time to make the impact. So I'm like, if she is thinking that,
right,
and we all think that, or
she's also a mother of 3, you know.
Right, which like, does that make time slow down?
I think so, because at least, I mean, I'm not a mom and I don't personally know Beyonce, unfortunately, yet.
Yeah.
But you can tell that she's definitely mother first.
Yes.
And like really is committed in developing a special relationship with her children and is like really intentional. It's
I'm like, what is that like?
Whoa, dude. Like, a lot of the generational parent, it really, she's mother.
She's mother. Yeah, without a doubt.
And you really feel that. It's not just like, oh, she's queen. It's like, no, she's a parent to all of us. And she really healed me at that moment. I think I just had like a weird morning with my parents and they did nothing wrong, but I was just triggered by every single thing that they did.
Of course. Yeah.
And going there alone and being able to just like cry it out with therapy, with
visuals,
with larynx,
okay. I mean, any word that I'm going to use is an adjective that I'm going to use is just not going to do it justice.
Exactly. She's so monumental. But yeah, anyways, that's all to say. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I was like, oh my God, Renaissance should be seen by all people.
Yeah. And I want to have that experience also of like, as I'm getting older, I enjoy going to see live music by myself.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to worry about anybody else. I sometimes like don't mind going with my sister, but even sometimes I'm like, I just want to kind of slip in, slip out, except for one time I treated myself right before the pandemic. I treated myself to a Mitski ticket at what is that place called in Brooklyn? Steely Dan, Brooklyn Steel, and I was like one of the first people there. Amazing. In the huge place. So that means that I checked my coat because it was December 2019, and I was there, like got my spot, stood in my spot for like the 3.5 hours of like the opener, and then maybe it was 4 hours and Mitski. And then for some reason, I don't know if it was because where I was standing close to the stage or where my jacket was in line, I was the very last person in line for the coat check. I was the first person in Brooklyn Steel and the last person out. And I was like, I don't like being alone in this way because somebody could have stood in line to get my coat. I could have peed. And then I could come back, they could go pee, and then they could come back, and I would have gotten both of our coats. But instead I was I'm not kidding, like the very last person in line. There were just hangers and like the butts of tags on the floor and my jacket. It's
just like catering trauma all over again.
Oh my God. Yes. We can go into that. Oh my God.
Wow. I saw dirty projectors at, was it elsewhere? Like their big space.
Yes.
And I maybe wasn't first, but I was like third. And I'm late to everything. So that was like huge. But I was so excited because I was able to see Dave's like set list and like see all of his plugins and all of that. And I was like, I feel like I'm getting the inside scoop. This is amazing.
I feel like we talked after that concert.
Oh,
was Amber Mark on that show?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like you talked to me about that concert afterwards.
It was awesome. It was also just nice to see, like little flubs or little like changes that happen in the moment. It's like, okay, we're all the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about you.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Because I know you.
Yeah.
But how do you really know a person?
I don't know. You get in there.
Which is what we're doing today. Well, I can't get in there because you spackled it.
That's true. Spackled. Cement at this point.
Closed. Iron gate.
It's unwealthy.
Yeah. Okay, so we know each other because Maryland.
Right.
I can't even remember like exactly when we met, but like around.
I think I do.
You do?
Yeah.
What was it? Was it Keegan? No,
it was like a theater party for ragtime for summer dinner theater. But I don't think we actually met, or like I think we were like, "Hi, I'm Sheena. Hi, I'm Ines."
Ragtime summer dinner theater?
Yeah, we met then, but we didn't like kiki.
I was 17.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. I was like I was still in high school.
Yeah.
You were in high school. You're younger than me.
Yeah. Was it high school?
Summer dinner theater.
What was
ragtime.
the show after ragtime? Who knows?
Well, Nora did like cabaret there.
Okay.
Friend Nora Palka. Shout out. So I like was hanging around but that was like when we went to Catholic University.
Right.
One summer she did that. I only did one summer of that. I also did cabaret at Montgomery County Community College.
Right.
And was kind of hanging around for that. But that was like my senior year of high school.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so we definitely met then.
You were a baby.
A bebe.
But we were at the parties.
We were at the parties.
We were at the parties.
We were raging.
Yeah.
But yeah, my friend, Kristen Brown, right?
Yes.
Was in that.
Yes.
But I didn't know her then. We met at Frostburg because I went there for a year before transferring to Towson. Shout out to both schools.
That's right. Maryland girly forever
and always.
Blue crabs don't fuck with us.
Crabs.
Are you a Ravens fan?
By association, yeah.
Okay.
But I grew up as a Washington fan, but that's because they went to the Super Bowl when my mom birthed me.
Oh, shit.
So she was in bed rest when they were like during the season with me. And she, like she's from Paris and she's like, what's this football with your hands?
Like, ew.
But she fell in love with it. She's like the biggest football fan I know.
What? Your mom?
My mom. So because I guess she was just like laying down and that's what was on TV. So then now she watches football all the time. But that's when the Redskins were, but we don't say that anymore. But that's when Washington was a great team.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Yeah.
So you follow that?
I mean, I follow because it's on and because I'm from Washington.
Yeah.
But they're just not a good team. My mom always had this theory of like as many points as they lose should be the percentage taken out of their check. And like maybe that'll make them play better.
Yeah, and send to teachers.
Yeah. Like truly.
Send it to elementary school public teachers.
Right.
And allow them to have a bigger salary, more benefits, and they can go to Disney World for free if they want.
Exactly. Instead of, these players that make millions and they're not trying.
Yeah. That's a whole other bucket of wine. But.
Yeah. I'm ignoring all the lies. I forgive you and all your fibbing tales. I'm unlocking myself out of hell. I was losing my mind. Could you find me? There was nowhere else to hide. Took me by surprise that I renewed my sight, reminding me that my light was never out of spite.
Okay, so we know each other from Maryland.
Yeah.
And you were doing what I feel like I first knew you as a jazz singer.
Right. So,
And then you were also doing theater. What was your first love?
So my first love was singing in the living room.
Yeah.
And my bedroom with a brush to my stuffed animals, and I was a star. Like I definitely did sports. Like I was a tennis gal, a track girl, basketball, the things. But then there was a moment where I was like, okay, I really love to sing. So I was like faking sick and then singing in my bedroom or the living room, like always performing. And
I feel like that's being a kid in the 90s.
Right.
You're doing soccer, you're doing tennis, you're doing a lot of activities.
Right.
Like parents in the 90s kept their kids doing activities.
Like we were
Stuff.
outside.
We were outside. We were eating orange slices.
I was eating onion grass. The grass, like at recess.
I was taking the honeysuckle flower and taking the middle out and sucking the honey off that.
Right, like a Renaissance
like
queen,
an absolute,
Victorian gal.
Yeah, like a peasant, but like huge tits.
But, like hot.
Yeah.
Oh, I had these tits in second grade.
Oh my, that was bigger than your body.
Right, I know. I'm just like the skinny twig.
Whoa. Falling over.
But yeah, no, I had big tits and I got my period in like fourth grade. But anyways, that's my puberty story. But my music story, you know, like in fourth grade, you pick an instrument, and then fifth grade, you can finally join choir. I went to Rachel Carson Elementary in the Catlins.
Miss Carson.
Miss Carson, if you're nasty. And
Children.
So I went there. I mean, I moved all throughout my like formative years. I just like moved a lot during elementary school and middle school, finally stayed for high school, but a lot of my friends grew up in a different district, so I kind of felt like I went to two schools. Like I went to two proms, two homecomings, like every year.
Yeah.
But anyways, I started in choir. Like that was kind of my outlet for singing, but in school. And I guess church, like my family sings. They taught me how to harmonize. Like they have a great ear and they like can find a harmony anywhere.
And you can too.
Yeah,
you
truly.
can find it anywhere.
Yeah.
And I told you about this last night because we went to a jam. The Jelly. Come on, everybody. It's once a month. But we were talking like what I love about Ines's voice and performance style is like point of view. And you can find the note anywhere and you can sing your tits off. But also you find the comedy in repeating a phrase over and over again, to like add emphasis on it and like raising the key or like jumping on top of note for a purpose, like for a silliness and a joy.
Right.
And or like dropping down like super low just because it's like silly and fun. And I don't see that a lot or maybe enough in Brooklyn, but also I just don't think a lot of people have that skill. Like was your family funny? Were your parents funny?
My dad, I mean, this is before Bill Cosby was Bill Cosby, but like
fair.
Everyone just like, or like we'll say like Dr. Huxtable, like that.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of saw my dad as that. Like he was just like well-dressed, charming, funny, like family man.
Yeah.
And he was definitely the comedy of their comedian of the family. And I don't know. I think there's also, especially with African and like Black culture and like just any minority culture, when you go through like all these shitty things over and over again, you have to find some humor and comedy in it. And I think that was like a huge root of comedy for my family, just with like, you know, dismissing the trauma and just like making all the jokes. And my dad always defers to jokes. Like he can't get deep. It's like just gotta make a joke about it.
He's
hence like why I keep dating people who like can't get in touch with their feelings, but that's another podcast. But
no, that's this podcast.
Okay, great.
Actually, yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, you do find, and me too, I feel like we tend to go through with goofy guys. And now we have a seltzer break. Woo!
Yes.
Give it up for Connor.
I don't know if I can bring this brand, like, do I cover it? Oh no, this is fine.
Wow, white glove service.
I love white man glove service.
Connor, owner of the studio. Shout out Friend's Basement. Yeah,
ASMR moment. We missed the sizzle.
We did,
but it's fine.
I was talking too much. Yeah.
No, you were talking just now.
Okay, goofy dudes from dad. My dad was also very, and he's still so ridiculous.
Cool.
He laughs just like Jerry Seinfeld. He's like, ha ha, shows his teeth, and closes his eyes and like leans his head back. If I can get a video of my dad laughing and Jerry Seinfeld laughing, like it's the same. Yeah.
Can't tell
so goofy. I do tend to go for more goofy dudes, but also is that a stereotype of women who want to date men who's like, I want someone funny. Like he has to be funny. But like,
do we really want to date people who aren't funny? You know?
Yeah.
Or I hear what you're saying. Or am I going for something familiar that maybe isn't the right thing? Like the spark, the chemistry is that I feel like we're learning to not go for chemistry and like to kind of go against it. But I'm like, I don't want to be bored. I don't want to fake laugh for my entire life.
Yeah. Well, there's one thing about like boredom. If boredom is good for people who have trauma and who usually choose partners from their attachment styles or who choose partners just from sexual chemistry, because boredom is actually, it means safety.
Right.
And we don't trust boredom because we are so conditioned.
That is my work right now.
To be familiar with chaos.
Yep.
And chaos I'm finding can come up in like work stuff too.
1,000,000%. My therapist was like, I mean, I'm definitely both avoidant and anxious, but more anxious leaning. And she's like, yeah, I see that in your work. I see that in like where you want to locate yourself. I see that in a lot of aspects of your life and not just romantic relationships. And I was like, that's brilliant.
You're like, bitch, shut up.
Like, shut up. Shut the. No one asked you.
No one asked you. Here's $50.
Actually, my insurance covers it. I do have free therapy. Dude. It's insane.
Good. No, it's not insane.
It shouldn't be insane.
Yeah. No, it's amazing.
Just very blessed.
And all artists should have free therapy.
Literally all people.
And any man who wants to be in therapy should be like, yes, here you go. Yeah. Actually, it's free. Go for it.
It's free. It's all day. Yeah. Okay. What were we talking about? Music.
We were talking about music, but then also family and where that comes from. That makes so much sense. There's also like, I mean, if you were jazz trained, would you say?
Yeah. So in high school, I had a voice teacher, Bonnie Kunkel, just the mentor, angel of my dreams. She taught me classical because that's what, that's kind of the root of the training. So I did that for a while. And then
Caro Mio Ben.
Of course, girl. That's right. Yeah, you better round it out. You know more words than me, and I know you're just going blah, 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 blah.
That was the only like classical song I remember from my childhood too.
Well, what's cool was I did a lot of Leontyne Price, who's like my favorite singer of all time, like first Black Met opera singer. She's just my dream come true. So I always try to like mimic her sound for a while, but then in a way my teacher was like, oh, you kind of do sound like her. Like if you want to like hear something that's similar, just to like know how it feels in your body.
Yeah.
But I definitely came from like imitating a ton, which I know we all do.
Yeah.
But when it was time to decide where to go to school, because I was doing musical theater and classical singing in high school, and I was like, oh, I don't want to go to school for musical. Or she was like, maybe don't go to school for theater. Like maybe do music because you can get more. I don't know. She was like, maybe you can get more jobs or something.
Mm-hmm.
So then I was like, well, I don't want to go for classical. Like, that's just too hard.
Yeah.
Like all the languages. This is stupid. It's dumb.
This is so stupid.
It's so dumb.
I want to go, oh, Oklahoma, where the wind comes swinging. Da, da, da. That's what I want to do.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
But then she like got me into jazz more, and she kind of poked my ear for jazz.
Cool.
And her husband, Jerry Kunkel, who actually plays guitar for like all the national tours that come into DC and for like Signature Theater and stuff like
sick.
that.
Okay.
He was a jazz teacher at Howard and Maryland, and he was giving me like some jazz coachings, and I was like, scoobity bop bebop. I love this.
I can squeebity bop boo this.
All right. I was so pumped, and I like fell in love with Ella specifically and Sarah Vaughan, but like Ella just felt like the childhood hug I've needed my whole entire life.
Yeah.
And I just love that she like honors the song and isn't afraid to be pure.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of piggybacking off of insecurity of like Instagram and whatever, I've been feeling a lot of like, so I grew up listening to like a lot of country because of church. Like I came from like a more acoustic country vibe, which is like so random, but like that is what I did. And
Maryland's kind of weird like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like not the South.
It's not the South, but we are below the Mason-Dixon line, and we do claim that.
It's not the Northeast either. It doesn't have that kind of like, but there is kind of a yuppie vibe to it, but it also there's so many pockets of like, not that.
Yeah.
Like not white. And also like it's kind of a strange melting pot state and super liberal.
Yes.
But it's also in the South technically.
Right. I would say like Frederick is like split liberal hippie to like conservative.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Which is like its own thing. And like I guess different neighboring counties, but
But you were saying insecurities.
Anyways,
from Ella.
So insecurities I've been feeling, especially just developing myself in the scene in New York and I guess in London too, just feeling like I came from a certain background that like I typically didn't see Black faces with whatever a part of, and like James Taylor or Dolly Parton or like the church music that I grew up listening to that were literally the same song. It's just like you could have heard it in a gospel sense, or you could have heard it in like a country Americana sense. And like I just heard country Americana more. And I always like threw that part away a bit because I felt like I wasn't honoring my culture. Like I wasn't honoring like being Black, especially, you know, like especially in New York, having a lot of white friends as a Black person. I feel like a lot more of my Black community is in DC just based on like theater. You know, you like do shows based on your race kind of, because that's the stories that
like I do the Black shows.
I do the Black shows, you know. But I lately have just been really like day to day lately. Like even this morning I was like, oh my God, like feeling insecure by my voice. Like I don't like riff up and down. Like I don't have the gospel chops. I don't have like, it's like, yes, I riff, but not like gospel chops or like not like soul chops. And a part of me is like, should I shed to be more that? Like, because I'm like close, but just need to like shed a little more is like something I'm thinking. Or I was also talking to Lila Wild about that. Shout out to her. About that. Or do I like hone what I do have and like honor that and not be afraid of that? And I think I do, because I've listened to genres, a million different genres my whole entire life. My brother's on the spectrum. So we had like music on from the moment he woke up to the moment we went to bed. And it was just a very eclectic vibe and music on all the time. So I felt like I was a part of this like paradigm and like myriad of all these genres that I think for a while is like, what do I choose? But I think I'm in this balance of like, do I honor what I have? Do I work on these other chops that I keep finding myself in spaces. Like I keep finding myself in like soul or R&B spaces, but that's not what I do. Like that's not like my bread and butter.
Yeah.
He ruined her, who ruined her, who ruined me with jealousy. For's a crowd, but we crave the company. I'm still thinking of the girl you broke up with before. Spent the whole day with your family, even met the newborn baby. We ended things with me at 12:30 and started dating her the next morning.
One of my dearest friends, Leah Rich, right? Like I'm like, she's the best. She's the best in town. And then I feel like I started saying that in a way of like, well, you're not enough. Instead of like honoring like this amazing talent and also just pedestal, like putting her on a pedestal too.
Yeah. There's enough for everyone to go
right.
around.
And it's like, but I feel that way about everyone. But I think it's just like my insecurity of like what I'm trying to do or what I feel like I'm expected to do, or I've like put that pressure on like what people are looking at me like, you're this Black girl, you should be able to belt or like run your ass off or whatever. And it's like, what if I want to be quiet? What if I don't want to run? What if I'm like more of a like Leanne LaHavis or Laura Mavula or like, you know, people who have these huge skills, but like have honed it in or have honored really what they can do.
Yeah.
And what they do well that I don't know. So I'm kind of in this place of fighting off or like listening to that insecurity, but also, I don't know, just finding that balance of what it should. I think I have like the should problem. I go through like a should like wormhole. And
as a Libra,
you don't
want to should all over yourself.
Right.
As Tony Robbins says.
Say it again.
Tony Robbins says, don't should all over yourself.
Yeah, don't.
Just don't. Well,
anyway, so that's where I'm at.
That makes total sense. Two questions I want to ask is, one, what, for the people at home, what is shedding? What does that actually mean? And then two, what's that constant wall that we come up with that's like we kind of dissolve every time of like, who am I? Who do I want to be? And how do I want to feel in myself? And how do I want to feel in my body after singing, after a performance? Because that is, that's like where I can really rip myself apart, or I can, and I'm learning to be like, that was cool. That was fun.
Right.
So two questions, but what is shedding exactly? How do you describe that?
Shedding is practicing, so in this sense, I could be practicing different scales, different modes. So I have more of a vocabulary for different notes that maybe I don't approach regularly. Okay. So cool. Like,
do you do that on your own or like through YouTube or like just piano?
I think it just depends on your education on it. So like you would sometimes in jazz school, like you're introduced to that in school. So maybe you've bodied that in your training at school. But if not, you could like go online or have a voice teacher or something like that. Or I could just like listen to different singers that are of a certain style and maybe like transcribe, like try to learn what they've done and break it down and then like drill it into my body.
Yeah.
Or
drill it into my body.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, you know, there are people who just, that's where they grew up and like that's the vibe that is so natural. And sometimes I feel like I don't want to try to fit into this costume that's not mine, but I feel close enough that I could drill it.
Yeah. Well, this goes back into the identity piece.
Right.
So like it makes total sense. It's good that you're asking these questions of like where, like, I think a question I go through a lot that is maybe not as helpful or maybe more capitalistic, I should say, is like, where do people want to see me the most and how can I do that so I could work more and so people would gig, hire me or have me on more gigs. So like, how can I, and then I come back to like, how can I adjust like what I look like or how can I adjust how I sound or like, should I do like a lot of the stuff on Shay The Good People is just me and guitar, but like, that's not really the stuff I love to sing. Like I love to sing with JJ and
Right.
I like singing kind of the like kind of folky rock soul, like Venn diagram type of thing.
Yeah.
But, and like in the jams, like I really feel like I don't fit in a lot there with like all the riffing. It's like, yeah, I can, but I'm more like just, I don't know. I'm not as, my ear isn't as developed as everybody, but it comes back to like, yeah, where do you think people, you could come at it at different angles of like, where do people see you? But also, do you like seeing yourself there? If you were to see yourself on stage
Right.
or looking at the upcoming music that they have for their solo show, like what would you really want to do and really want to sing? And sometimes it's an adjustment to get more gigs. And like, I know you sing a lot of weddings. So it's like, that's kind of what you have to sing. And it sours
Right.
it a little bit sometimes when it's like, well, I'm singing for work.
Right.
So when I come home to myself, what do I want to do?
Right.
And what do I want to be?
Totally. Like indie, all like soul. And when I say soul, it's like maybe there's a little bit of like a texture or riff or whatever, but it's like just so based on storytelling. I think that's more of what makes me feel good. And also coming from like a jazz background in college. I mean, I did jazz, but then I switched to sociology, but the Towson honored a lot of like experimental jazz too. So I like things being a little out or a little weird or like I love like Mitski is a great example of like having a pop structure in her writing, but not being afraid of different textures and like being experimental. So
yes.
Yeah, that's where I love.
I think that's an untapped skill that you have. Even seeing you last night singing Paul McCartney's Wonderful Christmas, it like so beautifully it so beautifully evolved into something that was like, this is a different genre song. Like that's a pop Christmas song. And now it's like a groovy, like silly, like funk and then rock song. Like it had so many layers and like there are great singers out there, but you can take a thing and like deconstruct it and make a story out of it. And your Shay and the Good People set is like something people, me included, who knows you very well, like rarely get to see you do.
Right.
You and a guitar.
Right.
Like I never get to see you do that.
Right.
And you're saying that that's what you really love. Like that's where you really want to live.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just, not even just guitar, like I've been playing a lot more piano too, or I think just like me and one other instrument or me in a studio with like something maybe more ambient or chill or even if it is grand, it's so much of the story. Yeah. I think that's more of where I feel like I'm pushing myself, but in a way that feels like I'm getting closer to myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, but I think with money or fear or whatever has stopped me or put me on pause, I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough guitar. Like, oh, like these, I don't know if these songs are good. Like so worried about what other people feel. And I think lately I've been just coming back, like if I'm posting a cover or something, like just coming back to myself and I'm like, this is what I love right now. This is what's resonating with me right now. I don't care if only 100 people actually know this song. Like if it's a cover, I love this. And I think I'm I'm getting less afraid of like getting closer to what I love and what feels closer to me. Even though I do still have some gigs that require a certain thing, I'm doing my best to like stretch myself when I feel the pull or the inspiration.
Yeah.
But do it my way.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's like will unlock your next
level. This is therapy.
Well, I'm such a huge fan of yours, but I also like I'm so grateful that we've been able to get so close since 2020, essentially, because like we both were in Maryland. I kind of started playing guitar, and you were really the only friend that was like around when I was in my cousin's bedroom in Bowie, Maryland, at my aunt and uncle's house, and was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. And then 3 years later, I'm back in Brooklyn, and we get to sit down and talk, and like. I've seen so much growth in you. And also I think that like one of those layers is like, it's so amazing when you, I'm always encouraging you to just keep posting on Instagram. Cause that is where you get to be like, this is just what I want to do. And that layer of like letting go of what people think of you, again, very hard for a Libra sometimes, but like not having to worry about what sound does this sound resonate with people when they hear me and as they're looking at me. When they look at me, are they thinking I shouldn't be sounding like this? Right. Instead of like pulling all that back and being like, I'm telling people how people should see and hear me. I'm literally like you teach people how you want to be treated. Right. You teach people what your sound is. You teach people how you sound. You teach people how you hold space. You're teaching people what kind of storyteller you are. Exactly. And that's totally up to you. And that has nothing to do with other people.
Well, are you hungry? What's taking you so long to choose chicken or turkey? Can't stomach how slow you move. Boring. Well, yes, I'm boring when my boyfriend can't make a move. Let's change this story to you kept me horny when my ball was constantly blue. My blue ball was my big clit. You should be depressed. You should be tumbling. You should be sobbing at a picture of me. You should be depressed. You should be tumbling. You should be so in love with me.
1,000,000%. And I think we've talked about this a bunch of like, I then will attract, the work or the friends or the collaborators or just anyone in my life that I will feel safer with if I allow myself to be more honest, like share a more honest, the honest version of myself. Yeah. Like, I think, you get stuck in these holes of like, oh, I really want to make more money. Oh and I really want to be able to land these gigs. Like I want to land more BGV gigs or whatever. So I start sometimes thinking like, oh, should I post something more folky or should I post something more soul or should I, whatever.
Yeah. Just text me anytime you have those shoulds and I'll be like, fucking do it. Just do it. Yeah. And I will say that money is we talk about this a lot because both of us kind of just like gig around at different places and work a million different jobs and have different seasons, and really low numbers for me makes me feel really depressed and really hard to feel creatively fulfilled. And I know a lot of people struggle with that. I'm not trying to say that I'm not assigning myself any class level. It's just and I'm fully acknowledging that I'm choosing to be in one of the most expensive cities in the world. I just don't know where else I would want to live. But truly, I don't want to get on a soapbox, but it's really, I don't know how to make the general public understand that like art in the world and in culture and music and having artists feel comfortable financially and physically in a home is going to make society better.
It
and
just
like,
will.
And the fact that you and me have to spend so much of our brain space and energy thinking about money instead of like, what's my sound?
Right.
Like that. And like that, it's the push and pull. If anybody out there is like, I wish I was farther along in my career. If you have to work like 2, 3, or 4 jobs at the same time, like be compassionate with yourself that it's going to take a bit longer.
It just will take a bit longer, but it's still worth doing it.
Yeah.
That's something I will always lean on. It's like anytime that I see music in the city or get to be a part of it, I'm not worried about money. I'm not worried about dating.
Yeah.
I'm really so present with what's happening. And I'm taken back to like, wow, music is my first love.
Yeah.
Like I really love this and I feel safe
Yeah.
and secure and flying for like these 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know? And
Secure and flying.
Secure and flying.
And that's mother.
Yeah, and that's mother. Okay. Yeah. And I think that's something that I just can't pull away from. So why not grant myself the space and the freedom to do what I want?
100%. What's your biggest in the moment? We kind of talked about it, but like maybe we kind of did talk about it, but I was going to ask like in this moment, what's your biggest challenge and what's your biggest joy?
My biggest challenge in this moment musically, you say?
In your life.
In my life, I think
For real.
honestly, for real, is like the self-care. It's the daily tasks,
Yeah.
self-care. It's hard to like,
Consistent.
yeah, exactly. Just the consistency. But the beauty about that, I think, is knowing that it's okay that it may look different every day. But the consistency is more about me showing up for myself in the way that I need at that moment and being present to that.
Yeah.
So if I have this instinct to journal, it's like, all right, let's do that. Or if I have the instinct to move my body, let's do that. If I have the instinct to eat this thing instead of this, you know? So I think it's more of like hour by hour rather than like, okay, today I'm going to do this and this and this and this. I've just never really been great at that. And if I'm slowly making these things more habitual because I'm honoring the self-care of the instinct.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this feels really good when I do this. So now it's becoming consistent. But I think right now it's been hard to like find the motivation to work out.
Oh, like physically.
Like physically, I've just, that's been the most inconsistent where I'm like, oh, I don't feel like working out at home. And I used to do that all the time.
Right.
So now I've been like biking more. I'm like, oh, at least I'm moving my body in that way.
Yeah.
Or like,
Yeah. Biking's the best.
Which is the
in
best.
Brooklyn, yeah.
Yeah, it's iconic. So
way too fucking cold for me. That's I was gonna bike over here, and I was like, if I have to wear a scarf, I can't bike.
right. I used to be the same, and now I'm like biking when it's cold. It's crazy.
It gets better. Like it's actually really nice after like the first 5 to 7 minutes
suck.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's bad.
I don't have good gloves, I think.
I think that's key. I've also been like putting my jacket over my hands.
Oh my God, and then you slip.
Yeah, and I'm like,
and they're like, wow, look at that gorgeous, gorgeous girl biking with no hands.
no hands,
Just
honey.
wrists
Just
wrapped
wrists.
around.
Or elbows.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
What's your biggest joy at the moment?
My biggest joy is
Me. I'm
It's-
just kidding.
it's Shayna. It's Shayna. It's funny because it sounds like what I was complaining about for the last 15 minutes, but it's being a part of scenes that stretch me.
Yeah,
I
you're
think-
in the scene right now.
Like, I think
It's very cool.
that's really nice. And I do feel like I want to be in a room where people are, you know, just as good or better, but definitely like better in different, you know, we all have our strengths. And I think right now when I see myself like focus but surrender and like do a thing that I wasn't expecting maybe vocally, I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
I did that. And I trusted myself in my body.
Yeah.
But I think just the scene, I think, and New York and in London, I just love hearing music.
Yeah.
I love seeing music so much.
I'm so intimidated by all those like singers like rooms, even like the Jelly
So am I.
and Femme Jam. Like I'm so insecure there, and
I am
Really?
too. I am so
but
insecure.
everybody knows you, and you can sing on anything.
I
Like
guess, but I guess again, that's me still feeling like I have to like sing a certain thing or sing a certain way.
okay, so you're more worried about like other people's, I guess, perception or expectations for you.
I think, it's more of the expectation. I
Yeah.
think like I'll find a way to rise to the occasion somehow.
Yeah.
But I don't always feel authentic.
Yeah. It's so wild. Like I would never see that in you, and also so many people love you in those spaces. I literally just feel like I'm not good enough of a singer. Like
That's literally, I kept waking up today that I was like, I am not good enough. I need to figure out a different
I'm
plan.
gonna murder
I should have
you.
been a
That's
dentist. Look at my teeth. I should have been a
Your
dentist.
teeth are good. You would be you can't be a dentist, Ines. Your tits would suffocate everyone. And you would be like, hi.
Let's fill out that cavity.
Let me get in
baby.
there. They'd be like, like
Yeah.
everyone would be so hard getting their teeth cleaned.
Hot. Wait, I should be a dentist.
No, you could be. You could be
/ sex worker.
You could both
Both.
make so much money.
So much money. Sexy lab coat.
Little pews hanging out. I think you could be anything, but you're a brilliant singer. I also am like, I guess I could just work at Bank of America. I don't need to do
Why
this.
Bank of America?
It's so generic. It has our country's name in it. That's why. Because the logo's a American flag. That's why.
Because I'm a patriot.
Yeah, because I love my country.
I love my country.
I'm from
US of A.
That's right, Maryland. Bethesda.
We just pull out our guns.
Where they're like water guns.
There was a gun explosion in Virginia. Did you see that?
Explosion?
Yeah, it, like blew up a house. Someone had like a flare gun thing.
Well, that's
Anyways,
it today, folks. No, I love you so much.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for coming. This was not enough time.
I know.
But we'll
I hope
have
I
you
wasn't
back.
So
Don't even stop doubting yourself
I had
immediately.
a great time. I was so secure.
You're so secure. You're brilliant. You're so deep. Your depths and your friendship to me and your kindness for me and encouragement has just meant so much.
Thank
and like,
you.
yeah, it's just really special when you know someone talented, but you also know that they have your back. So
Right.
we didn't
right.
even get to any of like dating stuff. So you'll
Part
have to, yeah, part 2 if you want to know.
Partner.
If you want to know the
highs and
dregs,
lows.
yeah, the Brooklyn swiping that's been happening. I don't know. I feel kind of good right now. I'm back on Hinge. Newsflash! If you've tuned into the end of this pod, I'm back on
And like titties.
titties. I've been on a couple days. It's actually been nice.
Okay.
I'm
We have
enjoying
to talk
it.
about this.
Yeah, off air.
Off air.
Hmm.
I have a date tonight.
Me too.
Really?
Yeah.
Should we double? Just kidding.
I'll tell you where I'm going. Yeah, maybe we should just be at the same restaurant, but not tell them that we know each other. And I'll be
Right.
like,
Right.
drinking?
They definitely know. I think they would have known who you are.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear who
Yeah.
it is. Okay, off mic. Thank you guys for tuning into Shay The Good People podcast. Ines, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on the social media of Instagram at ines.nassa. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Amazing. Thank you for tuning into Shay The Good People. Come to see our show. We are monthly. We were on Mondays, but now we're switching Tuesdays. Just come to the Instagram at Shay The Good People. Just spell it out, SHAYAND, The Good People. I don't want to spell the whole thing. Shay The Good People on Instagram. Like and subscribe to the pod. And thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.
You should be depressed. You should be tumbling. You should be sometime in love with me. I was your Eden, now eat my apple, bitch. You bitch. You should be depressed. You should be tumbling. You should be sobbing. I'm so out of tune. You should be depressed. You should be tumbling. You should be sobbing at a picture of me. You should be depressed. You should be tumbling. You should be so dumb in love with me. You're only getting by the skin of your teeth. You should be so dumb in love with me.